السلام عليكم. إن الحمد لله الواحد الأحد الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد وليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع العليم. نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه. وصلاة وسلاما على رسوله الأمين محمد بن عبد الله أرسله بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة. من أطاع الله ورسوله فقد رشد واهتدى ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله تعالى شيئا. عباد الله، قال تعالى بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم في سورة ياسين: واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إلى آخر الآية. وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا إلى آخر الآية. وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون إلى آخر الآية. وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون إلى آخر الآية. أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم؟ بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إلى آخر الآية. وقال في نفس السورة: إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون. صدق الله العظيم. Alhamdulillah that He has created us and allow us to be here for another Jummah. It is a blessing that He has allowed us to leave all the works aside just so we can come to the masjid and answer His call. Although it appears as an option, because if anybody sitting here did not come here, nobody will come and grab them and drag them to the masjid. So there is an option. And anybody sitting here could have had something else that would keep them busy from coming. But bi-iznillah, they have made a concerted, a conscious effort to come to the masjid so that they can make Jummah. And when Allah instructed us to come to the masjid, He did not make it conditional. He did not say, when Friday comes and they call Azan, go to the masjid if you are free. And just so we understand that He did not make it conditional, He didn't just say go to the masjid. He said go to the masjid and leave your business alone. فَاسْعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ وَذَرُوا الْبَيْعَ. So there are actually three conditions. One, go to the masjid. Two, do it quickly. And although sa'a means to haste, we know from the explanations of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the scholars that this doesn't mean we should run or we should go in haste to the masjid. Because even when Iqama is being called, which is closer than Azan, we cannot run to the masjid. Because when we run to the masjid, we would lose our composure. So if we run to the masjid, we're going to go breathing very heavily and trying to control or to maintain our composure. And in our human conduct, if you are interviewing for a job, or if you are looking after a serious business deal, you are not going to walk into that room sweating and acting like you've just been too busy. That alone, you know, will be a red flag. So what would you do so that it doesn't come that way? You will prepare yourself well ahead of time. And you would go there quickly, and you would, if you haven't been to the place before, you would take a day or two, you would take a moment to scout the area to get an idea of what the area looks like, how much time you actually need to be there, so that you do not go there in haste. This is the kind of preparation that Allah expects of us when it comes to Jummah. That's why He said, go there on time, wazarul bay', but also leave your business home or in the car. Do not take the business into the masjid with you. If you do that, you've only answered a third of the instruction. And I'd like to give an example that I would repeat when many of the brothers who come in late come in. But that is because it's so important. Many a times, you're sitting in the masjid and there's somebody in the back. They mean well, but they're standing in the back and literally having a conversation. They mean well. Maybe they haven't seen each other in a long time. And they turn around and give salam. And the salam goes to, I haven't seen you in a while. And that goes and goes and goes, and then a conversation just started. When we should always remember that every etiquette that you must observe in salat itself, you have to observe it in the khutbah. It is just that simple. Every etiquette that you must observe when you are standing in salat, you observe it in the khutbah. We know of a very popular hadith where somebody walks into the masjid and tries to greet another person. And another person motioned them, did not speak. He just a motion. Don't do that. Quiet. And Rasulullah chastised the one who did the motioning, not the one who spoke. Because the gravity of the speaking, just imagine if you're in salat and somebody for some reason begins to talk to the children. You're not going to stop and tell them, don't speak. If you speak, you have no salat. No. You're just going to maintain your salat. So let's give this day the dignity it deserves as Muslims. Because we come to masjid anyway, so let's get the best out of it. Because the reason why we come here is to remember, فَسَعَوْا إِلَى ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, to remember Allah and then leave the business alone. Why do we need to remember Allah? First of all, because it's His command. That's what He says we should do. The opposite of remembering Allah is a very serious situation. It is so serious that He says He makes you forget yourself. Imagine really forgetting yourself for a minute. What would happen if you actually forget yourself? But He said it. مَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي Inna lahum ma'ishatan donka. Or he say, Nasullaha fa'ansahum anfusahum. They forgot Allah, and Allah makes them forget themselves. So it doesn't mean that they may forget that they live. But when you get to a point where your priorities are misplaced, and Allah has demonstrated to every one of us the character of those who actually remember Allah and those who don't. He has just, we don't see it, but it is there. You know, brothers or sisters who have very limited means, very limited income, yet they are always happy. They're not struggling. You can see it. And then you have those who have everything, yet it doesn't show. They act like they have nothing. It's always complaining, always running from one place to the other, always in some kind of hustle. And those may just be the things they want, not the things that they have to have. That's when the barakah is taken away. And then more calls for more, and more calls for more. So Allah said, when we are caught in that loop, we should go back to the Quran and look at some of these examples He has read for us. In one surah, Surah Yasin, He gives us so many examples. First, He tells us of a people. وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلًا أَصْحَابَ الْقَرْيَةِ. He gives us a people in a certain village. He sent one prophet to them, and they rejected that prophet. And He sent a second one, and they rejected him too. And then He sent a third one. He sent a third messenger, and they fought that one too. And He did not stop. Then He took somebody from amongst themselves or in the neighborhood to speak to them, to call them back. And He comes and He said to them, my people, what if they are speaking the truth? Then will the things that they are warning us about, will they not happen to us if they are speaking the truth? So let's pay attention to them. Because if they are speaking the truth, the things they are warning us about would happen to us. And then they said to Him, well, you act like you want to follow them. We are giving you and them an option. Either you do as we do, or we would punish you very severely. And they punished him and killed him. قِيلَ ادْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةِ. And Allah asked him to go into Jannah. And he said, Allah, I wish I could go back and tell them what situation they placed me in when they killed me. And Allah gives us also an example that we should see every day. And really, if we see it and we understand it, then we will not be preoccupied with other things when it comes to just answering Allah's call. For example, leaving the business in the cars before we go to the masjid. Said, وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ الْأَرْضِ. Is it not a sign for them that the earth, Al-Maita, is dead, dry and cracking? And suddenly Allah sends the rains on it. And it becomes so soft that we put a seed in it and we trust the seed will bring out a plant, and it does. And we feed with that plant. It gets some oxygen from the plant. And not only do we feed, we also feed our animals. And then he says, and also, look at the night. Ayatul lahumul layl naslahu minhu nahar. Look at the night. We have night and he brings day. We have day, he brings night. We cannot see anything. And if he will, he would just let it remain dark. And it's in the Quran. If I had just maintained the night, sarmada, continuous, what would bring you light? And if I had just let the day to stay, what will bring you night? And you know you need it. If you want to know the significance of the night, try to sleep during the day. Or try to do the things you do during the day at night. You can. It's not going to work. And then he says, how about the oceans? He has given us the wisdom to create a boat. He begins it with Fuluk al-Mashhun, the well-known boat of Nuh alayhi salam, that allows you to float on the rivers. And it takes you to places you could not easily go, or you could, with luggage you could not carry. And all he asks of us is to obey him in being generous to ourselves. Because honestly, if you find yourself struggling in the day, just taking a break to make wudu and make salat should calm you down, give you some rest that you did not have the courage to take yourself. If all of us, every human being that's ever created, were to stand together in sujood or ruku from the day we were created until we die, it's not going to add anything to Allah's kingdom. Nothing. And if we all just decide to murder each other, bring each other back to life and murder each other, it is not going to take anything from his kingdom. Everything we do is for our benefit. Yet it is hard for us to do. I want to throw an example which is real, really to remind us of how feeble we are. And of the fact that whatever situation we find ourselves in, we have a reason to say Alhamdulillah and to mean it. Because that is shukr. And shukr and dhikr of Allah, they are important. And the opposite of them is ruining our lives. A few days ago, I visited a brother in the hospital. He had what is known as bypass surgery. Something clogged the intestine, so they had to cut it and then rejoin it. And it's not a perfect science. So they did it, they rejoined it, something happened, they put him on some blood thinners, and that one too has a side effect. So you're looking at him. He has a family like you do. He had a job like we do. He had things he planned way ahead like you do. The only thing he did not plan was to be at the hospital, to not be able to drink water on his own. The closest thing he gets to water is some thing that he would put in water and then suck it. Imagine water. It is too thick to go through his intestine. He cannot go to the bathroom without help. It has to be drained. It can be you tomorrow or today. Yet we are so busy that we don't even remember that ni'mah that Allah gives us, that we go to sleep and we wake up and we do everything we want to do for ourselves. How can we not say Alhamdulillah? I think I have mentioned this before, that one scholar fell sick, perhaps not as sick as the brother, that he could not use the bathroom for maybe a week. And then he goes to see a doctor. And the doctor writes him a prescription. And he got the prescription and he got cured. So on his follow-up visit, he says to the doctor, I'm fine now. Now I can go to the bathroom. And the doctor gives him a follow-up bill. So he looks at the bill and he started to cry. And the doctor says, what is the problem? If you don't have money, we can make a payment arrangement for you. He said, no, it's not about the money. It's about the fact that every day of my life until the last few days, I use the bathroom on my own. And I don't even remember to thank Allah for that. I'm able to eat what I want to eat, go to the bathroom, do what I want to do, come back out. But I don't even remember to thank Allah for that. And that is applicable to all of us. So when we are encouraged to say Alhamdulillah and to mean it, how do we mean it? Think about it. What am I saying when I say Alhamdulillah? What am I saying? Am I really being reminded that every step that I take is because Allah permits it to happen? You know, very often somebody dies. The first question we ask is, what happened? No one amongst us would sit in an airplane, and when it's taken off, in that element of death, it will come to your mind. Sometime before it gets up there, will come to your mind. You see, that's because we are thinking of the means, the causes, the things that Allah allow it to happen. When you go to lie on your bed, that doesn't cross your mind, because we think that it is an accident that brings you closer to death. But how many times have we been told that somebody died peacefully in their sleep? So we ask about the cause first, then we ask about Allah. It's human. We need to train ourselves to go beyond that. We need to train ourselves to go beyond the causes, the means, so that first we go to Allah and He decides which of the means is going to fulfill our need. But what we do, we leave Allah aside, we run through all the means. After they have failed us, then we go cry to Allah. We turn everything around. That's why it's difficult for us to leave the phones in the car to come to the masjid, because we want to finish the last transaction. But if we just remember that, yes, Allah is not telling us to be lazy, but He's asking us to give Him His due, which could be our entire life. But no, just a little bit of our time. So few of our time that no salat, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, or Isha, if you put all of them together, I don't care how careful you make it, it's not going to take 10% of your time, a whole day. And even when it comes to tahajjud, look at how easy He makes it. You can pray, you can get up in the middle of the night, you can get up at the end of the night, you can get up at the beginning of the night, you can stand 1/3 of it, you can stand 1/2 of it, or 1/4, or you can make it lower than that. He does not place a burden on us. No. Just remember me. And look at the salat. Make wudu before you make it. But if you don't have water, or if it's too far away, or if you are sick, then make tayammum. And if you're so sick that you can't even make the tayammum, just make the salat. And if you're so sick that you cannot even blink when you make the salat, just keep it on your tongue. No burden. Yet we find a reason to grumble rather than to just say Alhamdulillah and mean it. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us aware of the signs He gave us in Surah Yasin about how He sent a people, a messenger, and they killed or rejected 3 of them. And He reminds us of how dry the earth is. And He brings it back to life in a moment. And it brings us food. And how we could perpetually be in day or night, yet He alternates it for our benefits. And in between that, He gives us chances to remember Him in terms of salat. And then He gives us Jummah and tell us when we come in, we should be prepared before the time. And when we come in, we should focus on the salat. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. Oh Allah, nothing happens on earth without your permission. The situation that Muslims in general face in this country and around the world, it is by your decree. It is perfectly within your control that anything that happens, whether it's good or bad, happens. We ask you to give us the wisdom to understand that and to ask for the good in everything that happens, even if it appears bad to us. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.